Welcome back to Countdown to College. I'm your host, Beth Pickett. Each week, we pick one U.S. college to profile. And this week, we're headed to the city of Brunswick on the coast of Maine, which is home to Bowdoin College. Here to enlighten us about Bowdoin is Scott Hood, Bowdoin's Vice President for Communications and Public Affairs. Scott, welcome to Countdown to College.
Thank you, Beth. Pleasure to be here.
Can you give us a little bit of an overview of Bowdoin, how big the student population is, your location, and how that influences the college?
Bowdoin is an undergraduate liberal arts college located in Brunswick, Maine, which is about 2 hours north of Boston, about half an hour up the coast from Portland, Maine. We have students here from pretty much every state in the country and many foreign countries. And we're getting started pretty soon for a new academic year. We had about 6,000 applications this year for 470 to 490 slots. We admitted about 18% of those students.
Boy, and that makes you one of the most selective colleges in the country.
Yes, Bowdoin is a highly selective college. We do draw students from all over the country, as I said. We are very interested in making sure that young people understand that even though we are selective, highly selective at that, we very much want young people who do well in high school to consider college and to consider Bowdoin. We're a place that, while we only admit about 18% of our students, of the students who apply, we have students from all walks of life, different backgrounds, different socioeconomic situations, different geographic locations. So we're split about 50-50 men and women, and it's a wonderful four-year experience.
Is there a particular type of student that you're most interested in getting? You mentioned those leadership positions, community service students interested in particular programs.
Well, Beth, I think we're trying to find students from all kinds of different backgrounds because we take our responsibility very seriously to educate, the next generation of leaders for our country and for society. Bowdoin has a very rich history of doing that. We have had alumni from this college who have led every branch of the U.S. government, including a president, Senate Majority Leader, Speaker of the House, Supreme Court Justice. We have had explorers, Admiral Perry and Donald McMillan, who were the first. Admiral Perry was the first to get to the North Pole. We have had a lot of success in educating leaders, and we're eager to find those young people who have in their background and in their potential those leadership skills.
And when you're talking about some of those famous graduates, you have a very long history. I was surprised when I was on your website the other night reading about just how long you've been around. Can you talk a little bit about when Bowdoin was founded and your history?
Sure. Bowdoin is about as old as the Republic, as we like to say. When Bowdoin's charter was signed, it was Maine was part of Massachusetts, and Samuel Adams was one of those people who signed it. The college was founded in 1794, and it opened in 1802. So yes, we've been around for quite a while. Some of the other graduates of this college include Nathaniel Hawthorne, Henry Wadsworth Longfellow, Joshua Lawrence Chamberlain, Senator George Mitchell, who people probably know more recently from the baseball investigation and some of the other things that he's done, the founder of Netflix, Reed Hastings. It goes on and on.
And one of the things that I also noticed on the website is that you were one of the first colleges to make the SAT scores optional as part of the admission process, which is particularly surprising because I'm sure you're the most selective school that makes that SAT optional.
Yeah, Bowdoin made the SAT optional. The vote to do so was in 1969, and it went into effect the following year. So yes, we've been doing that for a long time. I think that the committee back then felt that there are other ways to determine whether a young person will be successful or not. But I should say that even though we are SAT optional, the vast majority of students who come to Bowdoin do submit their scores.
And when they do submit them, boy, those scores are pretty high. I think the average, it said, was about 650 to 740 for both math and reading for those students who do submit them.
That's right.
So those students who aren't submitting them are really going to have to show that they are top of the heap as far as their academic potential.
That's true. And, some people don't do well on standardized tests, but as you say, there are other ways, including the interview and recommendations and the rigor of the secondary school academic program that can help us determine whether that student will be successful or not.
Now, one of the things that I counsel seniors to look for when they're looking at colleges is the retention rate, the percentage of students who come back to the campus. They've been there freshman year. What percentage are coming back for their sophomore year, which to me is a good indicator of how happy the students are on the campus. And yours is 99%.
That's true. We are a campus that people just love it here. One of the interesting statistics is, we're in Maine, and so for a lot of people who've never been to Maine, there's a sense that it's far away or remote or you can't get there.
Or cold.
It doesn't help that our color is white and our mascot is a polar bear, but those are for other reasons, which I can get to in a minute. But one of the statistics that's sort of interesting is if we get young people and their families to come to visit campus, a vast majority of those young people who are qualified to do so end up applying. And once they get here, there is a real love for this place. We have a alumni body of about 15,000 people who are very active, very engaged in this college, and it's a beloved place for them.
Are there any programs that you would like to particularly emphasize as strong programs for students to come and do studies in those areas?
Well, again, we're a liberal arts college, and so there's a great deal of depth and breadth in the academic program all around. We have some programs that are very popular and very strong that are related to our location here on the coast of Maine. Those might include coastal studies. We have a strong environmental studies program. And also Arctic studies. I mentioned Admiral Peary, who was the first to get to the North Pole, and that centennial is coming up this year. He and others after him, Donald McMillan, created a tradition at Bowdoin for Arctic exploration and other forms of exploration. And so we have a very strong Arctic studies program, and we also have the Peary McMillan Arctic Museum here. And as I mentioned, they're having a big centennial year this year. We also have the Bowdoin College Museum of Art, which is one of the finest art museums in the country. And the collection dates back to James Bowdoin, for whom the college is named. And as I mentioned, he was somebody who was a very prominent person at the dawn of the Republic, and we have just renovated our museum, and it is a teaching museum, and students get to experience the art firsthand. So there's all sorts of strong programs. Those are some of the highlights, though.
Can juniors and seniors do research on campus?
Yes. There's one of the interesting things about this campus in the summer is that we have about 200 to 300 students on campus during the summer engaged in research. We are very proud of the fact that our faculty are very accessible to our students, and there's all sorts of research that goes on, students and faculty working shoulder to shoulder throughout the year. So yes, those opportunities are plentiful.
I think that is all the questions that I had. Anything else you want to throw in that I haven't asked about?
No, I don't think so. As I said, Bowdoin is one of the great colleges in our nation. It's been here a long time. People have to understand that Maine is, in fact, pretty accessible. I drive to Boston all the time, and we have airports and train stations and all sorts of ways to get in and out of here. And once you come to Maine, you never forget it, and you have these lifelong connections. And we're proud to be here, and we're happy to be on your show.
Scott Hood, Vice President for Communications and Public Affairs at Bowdoin College. Thank you for joining us on Countdown to College.
Thank you, Beth.
Those who would like to learn more about Bowdoin can visit their website at www.bowdoin.edu. That is spelled Bowdoin, Bowdoin. You'll also find a link to the college in the resources section of this show's website at www.bethpickett.com. Stay tuned. We'll be right back after this short break.